don't know, go on a date. Buenos dias. It's actually like 5 in the afternoon. I don't know why I said that. It is a beautiful day in Huelva. It's about 70 degrees outside. I am a little bit sick and a little bit injured. Now, I've had a ton of experience with taking time off the bike over the past 2 years because of various circumstances, mostly overuse injuries, but also a crash. And being sick a good amount. And it's really, really difficult, especially when cycling and training is so built into your routine. And dealing with it is something that's not really talked about. I think people take for granted that they're going to take the time off and rest and let their body heal, but it's really difficult when it's something that's built into your routine. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about overuse injuries, and I think overuse injuries are something that aren't really talked about enough in the cycling world because they're kind of shameful, because stopping training is a big deal, and especially when there's nothing outwardly wrong with you, it can be really difficult to try and explain to people that you're not training because, oh, my hip hurts, even though there's nothing visually wrong with your hip. When people stop training, it's really common for symptoms of depression to come on because when you stop training, there's a lot less endorphins coming into your body. Often you get cut off from social circles because a lot of the times your friends are people who are also into cycling. And the third thing is that you aren't really making more progress towards your goals. And that can be really difficult because you're so used to climbing up the ladder. And overuse injuries are something I've personally dealt with a lot. And every time it's been really difficult. But each time I'm kind of figuring out how to deal with it in my own way. And I wanted to share that with people. Right now I'm dealing with a little bit of a hip problem. I think that the biggest reason people have problems when they stop training is that all of a sudden you have all this time on your hands that you don't know what to do with. Some amateurs are training up to 20 hours a week, and what are they supposed to do with another 20 hours of their time? So what I want to talk about today is filling your time so you're, number one, making the most progress towards your goals, and number two, maybe establishing some other really good habits and working towards other goals that you may have left behind because you don't have time. I know that we've all, forgotten about some external goal because we were too busy riding our bikes, and then you get home and you're tired. The first thing that I've found to be really helpful dealing with time off the bike is meditation, and it's something that I actually do while I'm training as well, but especially when I'm off the bike. Meditation is super helpful. Specifically, I use Headspace meditation. It's an app you can download on your phone or you can go online. The guided meditation that they do is incredibly helpful. Basically what I do is I sit on the edge of my bed. There's a really calming British guy who speaks, and I try to follow him in my head.
A place of calm and clarity, from where we can hear what others have to say.
I know that when you think of meditation, you think of like hippies sitting around in a circle, just going like, Om, Om.
So there are two parts to this.
But that's not what it is at all. Or well, I guess it can be. What Headspace does is mindfulness meditation, which allows you to focus on the emotions that are in your head. It helps you kind of deal with emotions, which is something that a lot of us don't learn how to do. We don't learn how to deal with emotions. And a lot of the time, we use cycling to kind of get away from our emotions because we're just being flooded with endorphins. So we can kind of like use the endorphins to push down any negative emotions that we might be having, like stress or anxiety or sadness or whatever, and it just goes away. The second major thing that I've found is good to do is to talk to your friends and family. A lot of the time I found that when I'm training, I'm not talking to my family or my friends as much as I probably should be, and so I use the extra time to call my parents a little bit more and talk to my brothers and my other family. And it's especially helpful when you're dealing with a lot of emotion. Because you have so much extra time, so you're dealing with more emotions, and if you talk to your friends and your family about that, it can be incredibly helpful because they can help you deal with the emotion and maybe suggest things that you can do. You should be talking to your family anyway, they're your family, and your friends just want to be there for you. The third thing that I've found is really helpful with filling up my time is learning a new skill. This is something that can fill up the bulk of your time that you would be riding with while you're recovering. For example, if you've always wanted to learn a new language, learn how to play an instrument, learn how to program computers. Gym. The reason that it's good to kind of get these goals going while you're injured is that, during training we're using a lot of our energy for riding, and sometimes afterwards you just don't have the energy to go out and complete these auxiliary goals. And so if you establish them as a habit while you're injured, then it's going to be much easier when you start training again. The last thing that's really important to do while you're injured that can fill up some time is working on your strength and flexibility. Obviously you shouldn't do this beyond the bounds of your injury, and you really shouldn't be doing it without consulting a doctor or whatever practitioner you might be working with. Working on flexibility in the form of like yoga.
To catch a hold of your left foot and pull it in towards you. And then the elbow can lift up, and the other arm can reach back.
Okay. Improving your strength in the weight room, maybe, depending on your injury, or just doing body weight exercises like I've been doing here. Oh, upper body done for the year. Those are things that can be really helpful when you come back because they're things that can prevent injury in the future. And again, if you establish them as a habit, then it's much easier to continue doing during hard training blocks. Like, for example, I know that when I'm doing a really hard block, I'm really tired all the time and I don't end up stretching or doing my strength exercises as much as I normally would. So those are the 4 things that I would strongly recommend you try to fill your time with when you're off the bike. Making sure that you fill your time meaningfully can be really, really, really helpful in terms of just keeping your mind off the injury and keeping yourself moving forward in whatever you're doing. So just because training stops doesn't mean that your life has to. There are things that you can do that will help to improve your life. Get out there, learn a new language, learn how to play the guitar so you can play Wonderwall at parties, go on a date, go call your mom. Just do something. I hope this was helpful. If it was, hit subscribe and I'll provide you with more content, more stuff like this, and more cycling videos in the future once I'm fully recovered.